You probably know someone who never talks about money. They never show off. But somehow, they always have money when they actually need it. They're not 50 or 60 years. They're closer to your age, maybe a few years ahead of you. And they live without real stress about money. Their secret is a business that sounds boring and forgotten. Not boring as in bad, boring as in ordinary. Ordinary enough that 99% of people would never even think to start one. I looked for businesses with genuinely high survival rates. The ones almost nobody your age talks about. I narrowed it down to 10. Some of these will feel uncomfortable because you'll see them as jobs, not businesses. That mindset is exactly what keeps most people from starting. If you only remember one, make it the last one. It ties everything else together. Business 10. Pet waste removal. Here's the problem this solves. Tens of millions of households have dogs. Almost every one of those owners hates the actual chore of cleaning the yard. It's not that they can't do it. It's that after a long workday, it's the last thing they want to spend 20 minutes doing. The model is simple. You show up once a week on a set day. You clear the yard. You leave, usually without even needing to speak to the owner. Companies in this space charge $15 to $25 per weekly visit. 50 clients at $20 a week is $4,000 a month. 100 clients doubles that. To land your first few clients, local neighborhood Facebook groups and community apps work well here, since dog owners already post in those groups looking for exactly this kind of help. A common mistake beginners make is underpricing to win clients fast, which makes the route hard to sustain once gas and time are factored in. Price for the weekly commitment from day one, not for winning the first sale. Why does this stay open without real competition? Because it's unpleasant. That's the whole barrier to entry. All you need is a bag, a scooper, and zero embarrassment about it. Business 9. Parking lot striping. Every shopping center, church, and school needs its parking lines repainted on a regular schedule. In a lot of places, faded lines are actually a legal or insurance liability issue for the property owner, not just a cosmetic one. The equipment, a striping machine, paint, and stencils cost $3,000 to $5,000. A single job pays $500 to $2,000, done in one afternoon, often on a weekend when the lot is empty. To land your first job, property management companies are a better target than individual store owners, since one contact there can hand you multiple lots at once. Competition is thin here mainly because most people your age don't even know this is a business you can be hired for directly. It looks like something a city crew handles, not something an individual books through a phone call. Business 8. Mobile auto detailing. This one came up constantly when I looked into what people actually respond to, and it holds up under real scrutiny. The problem it solves is convenience. Traditional car washes and detail shops require the customer to drive there and wait. You remove that entirely by going to them, their office parking lot, their driveway, wherever the car already is. A full detail runs $150 to $400. If you're efficient, you can complete 3 or 4 in a single day, which puts you between $450 and $1,600 a day, with fairly minimal operating costs beyond your supplies and water. To land your first clients, office parking lots are a strong starting point, since you can detail multiple cars in one location without moving your setup between jobs. A common mistake here is underestimating how much time interior detailing actually takes compared to the exterior wash, which is where a lot of beginners end up rushing and hurting their reviews. Business 7. Junk removal and light hauling. Trash and unwanted items never stop existing, which makes this one of the more recession-resistant ideas on this list. People move, renovate, and clear out estates regardless of what the broader economy is doing. You're not trying to compete with large-scale waste management companies here. You're filling a smaller, more personal gap. Someone cleaning out a garage, an estate, or a rental property between tenants needs a truck and a couple of bins to make that stuff disappear. And they're willing to pay a flat fee for the convenience of not dealing with it themselves. To land your first jobs, property managers handling move-outs are a strong repeat source of work, since turnover happens constantly in rental properties. The barrier to entry is genuinely just a truck, a few bins, and a willingness to do physical work most people would rather avoid. Business 6. Pest control, starting small. What makes this one interesting is the recurring revenue built directly into how it works. You're not usually selling a one-time visit, you're selling a monthly contract. Once a homeowner or small business signs on for regular pest treatment, that contract tends to renew automatically, month after month, because the underlying problem never fully goes away. Pests, like trash, just keep coming back on their own schedule, not yours. To start, many states require a specific license or certification for pest control work, so this one has a higher barrier to entry than most others on this list. But that same barrier is also what keeps competition lower once you're certified, since it filters out anyone unwilling to go through the process. Business 5. Notary public and loan signing agent. I want to be genuinely honest about this one, because I've seen real feedback from people who've actually tried it, and the results are mixed depending on where you live. Certification costs $50 to $150 depending on your state. Per signing rates run $75 to $200, sometimes more if you specialize in mortgage closing specifically. Here's the honest caveat. How well this pays depends heavily on your local market. In areas with a lot of home sales and loan closings, this can be a genuinely strong source of income. In other markets, people who've actually done this work say the volume of signings simply isn't consistent enough to build a full living around it. My honest recommendation is to treat this as a low-cost add-on skill you layer onto something else, not as a guaranteed standalone business. Business 4. ATM placement. The idea here is straightforward. You buy a used ATM for $2,000 to $3,000. You place it in a local business that sees heavy cash traffic, a bar, a convenience store, a small venue, and you earn a small fee every time someone uses it. One machine by itself won't change your financial life, but the model scales in a specific way. 10 or 15 machines, placed in the right spots, starts to add up into something real, and the ongoing work involved is mostly just refilling the cash and checking the machine occasionally. To land your first placement, approach small business owners directly and offer to split the transaction fee with them, since it costs the owner nothing and adds a convenience their customers were likely already asking for. Business 3. Appliance repair. This was another one people consistently responded well to, and the underlying logic explains why. Washers, dryers, refrigerators, and dishwashers all eventually break down. When they do, people need them fixed immediately, not next week, since going without a working fridge or washer is genuinely disruptive to daily life. A typical repair visit runs $100 to $400. Here's what makes this genuinely interesting long-term, not just right now. A lot of current technicians in this trade are aging out and retiring, and very few people your age are stepping in to replace them. That means competition in this specific trade is actually shrinking each year, not growing, which is the opposite of most business ideas people chase. Basic repair skills for the most common appliance failures can realistically be learned through manufacturer repair guides and instructional videos before you ever take on a paid job. Business 2. Pressure washing. The barrier to entry here is about as low as it gets. A solid pressure washer, a truck, and a stack of business cards is close to everything you need to start. You're typically charging $200 to $500 per job, cleaning driveways, patios, and building exteriors. What makes this one particularly good for building a client base without spending money on advertising is visibility. Once you clean one driveway on a street, the neighbors physically see the results, and they start calling you directly, without you ever running an ad. A common mistake beginners make is pricing every job the same regardless of size or grime level, which either scares off small jobs or undercharges for genuinely difficult ones. Quoting after a quick look at the property, rather than a flat rate, protects your margin. Business 1. The one to remember. A laundry pickup and delivery service. Here's why I saved this one for last. It combines almost everything the other 9 businesses do well, individually, into one model. You don't need to own a physical laundromat. You partner with one that already exists in your area, offer pickup and delivery as your own separate service layered on top, and keep a margin of 30 to 40% on every order. 100 recurring clients paying $30 to $50 a week works out to $12,000 to $20,000 a month, with no storefront and no equipment of your own to maintain. To land your first clients, busy young professionals in apartment complexes are the strongest starting market, since they have the income to pay for the convenience and the least available time to do laundry themselves. This one has recurring income, low competition, since almost nobody offers it specifically as a standalone service yet, and something most of the other 9 only partially have: genuine convenience as the entire value proposition. Now, here's what you're probably thinking. Sounds fine, but where do I even start with 10 different options? Don't start with all 10. Start with exactly one, the one that fits your current budget, your specific area, and honestly, what you're willing to do without feeling embarrassed about it. Because the truth is, most of these require you to get your hands dirty, knock on actual doors, and do things that don't photograph well for social media. And that discomfort is precisely what keeps most competition away from these spaces in the first place. Let me tell you about 2 people named David and Josh. Both were 25, and they both worked entry-level jobs. David worked in retail management. Josh worked in warehouse logistics. Both earned close to the same paycheck. David had wanted to start something on the side for nearly 2 years. Every time an idea came up, he pictured the finished version first. A clean logo, a professional page, something impressive enough to tell his old college friends about. Because nothing ever felt finished enough, he never started. Over those 2 years, he spent close to $4,000 on things like an unused gym membership, an online course he never finished, and impulse purchases that gave him nothing lasting back. Josh took a different path. He bought a used pressure washer for $220 and printed a small batch of flyers. His first weekend, he made $90 cleaning 2 driveways for neighbors. He kept going on weekends. By month 4, he had 8 repeat customers on a rotating schedule. By the end of his first year, he'd added window cleaning, and he was bringing in an extra $1,400 a month, working roughly 6 hours most weekends. Same age, same starting income. The real difference wasn't talent or luck. Josh started with something small and imperfect right away. David is still waiting for a version of the idea that feels impressive enough to finally act on. None of these 10 businesses are exciting to bring up at a dinner party. That's not a flaw. It's exactly why there's still room in them for you. The impressive sounding ideas get crowded fast, because everyone chases the same handful of glamorous options. The boring ones stay open, year after year, for whoever is actually willing to start. If one of these 10 surprised you, tell me exactly which one in the comments below. And if you know someone still waiting for the perfect idea, instead of starting the boring one that's already available to them, send them this video.